Welcome to Bathrobe Life. I'm Roman, your host. As a holistic trauma informed relational behavior consultant, I'm here to guide you in understanding and improving your relationship with your dog using the DoNoHarm methods. Since 2011, I've been helping navigating complex canine behaviors both online and in person. So grab your mug, get comfortable, and let's dive into the world of canine friends, decoding their struggles in our human world, your journey to a better bond with your dog using the Do No Harm method. Hi, how are you guys doing today? Interesting, right? Yep, you see, right? I got my coffee mug. I hope you want too. So, before we go deep dive, stay tuned because we're going to go not only talking about bad things that can happen, we also talk about the solution that you can have before things escalate. And yes, I will reply and I will recommend that book. You see, that's my notes in here. Do No Harm Dog Training book and link in the comments. So, um, if you cannot watch the whole video, check back in and watch the rest because let me tell you how that video started. This morning, around 4 o'clock, um, we had a power outage at night and I had to run my generator because, refrigerators and stuff and heat because it's kind of cold here in Oregon. And so I woke up 4 o'clock in the morning because the power went back in and I turned off the generator, came back and I saw an email from hopefully potential client. Help, my dog killed my other dog. What should I do next? And I'm like, oh, Jesus, that's a great breakfast. Honey, I'm going to make coffee. So I got up, make my coffee. And I was like, you know what? It's not the first time people reach out to me with these kind of emails. And I think we should talk about it because holidays are coming, visitors are coming, the dog's going to get stressed, everybody's going to get stressed. You know what? And things can be avoided, right? How many of you guys had lately a dog fight? It's okay. You can share it. I can share you my dog fight. It was a couple of years ago. I was in the RV and we just moved with the RV around. We sold our house, got in the RV, traveling around, and the dog's getting stressed every time we arrived at in a new RV park. I had to set up my little fence. I had 4 dogs, 2 big ones, 2 small ones, and of course things can happen, escalate, stress. Dogs doesn't have to be always. Relationships are not always even. Friend relationships, marriages, brothers, sisters. You know how that goes. So dogs do that too. They get in fights. And yeah, if it happened to me, it can happen to anyone. I'm like anybody else. I'm human, drinking my coffee, wearing my bathrobe, share information with you. It can happen to me too. Now, more difficult because I have only 1 dog left. Um, my dog, one of my dogs, had a previous experience with one of his besties. So we went for a meeting, and they wanted to show us their new baby. And of course, they have a dog, and they were besties, no problem. And obviously, I didn't think the whole thing through back then. And yeah, they met each other. Everything was cool. They played around in the yard, and then the parents showed me their baby, and our dogs came back in. And my guys went up on his back legs from distance. He wasn't even close to the baby, right? And tried to sniff it. That was enough for the other guys to attack him and almost killed him. Um, so, see, actually, that can happen. So, but how can we change it? Why is it happening in the first place? Can we just say lump sum, well, dogs always get in dog fights? Well, not always, but often. And sometimes we can avoid it. And in this video, we're going to talk about how to see it, how to prevent it, and how to help you get out of your mess once you got in there. So first of all, I want also to share and welcome to say hi in the comments. Hi. And I want, in the meantime, clicking on things because I'm doing everything here, like the studio manager. Um, when was the last time something happened at your house? What did you do? How did you solve it? Of course, I don't want to hear, oh, I used the shock collar. We will talk about it, but that's what we're suggesting. We're against aversive tools. Because like I can tell you from experience, using aversive tools to address aggression will escalate it. And we're going to talk about that because it's also part of the problem. So, and thank you for your comments. I really appreciate it. Who's that? Oh, hi, Jamie from UK. Ooh, hello. It's my coffee. I know you guys drink tea too. I'm not biased. I mean, you guys drink coffee too, but what time is it there? So back to our coffee thing. People wonder why I'm wearing my bathrobe. Is this kind of like a weird thing he has? No, you know what? I just haven't get dressed yet. It was 5 o'clock in the morning. I made coffee, fixed the generator, and then I was like, you know what? I need to talk about it before actually my day starts. I'm kind of already in that brewing moment. As soon as the coffee was ready, I start creating that event, and here we are sitting together. So it's a two-way communications. I would love you input and stay around because we're gonna talk about everything, and guaranteed at the end I'm gonna do a short Q&A because my wife is not at home, so she's gonna tell me to do things. I have a little bit more time for you guys. So okay, let's start. So first of all, let's look into that. Right, coffee goes all with bathrobes. Thank you for adding your name to it so I know who you are, since Facebook doesn't give you permission to share it. So how do I start? I start with paying attention to the situations and when things can happen. So the first thing I notice that things can go wrong is where people adopt a dog. The first day, right? And in the home, there is already the existing dog in the house, the in home or the resident dog. And the dog from a shelter, we don't know 100% the past, even from a rescue. We don't really know. Even if you adopt it from a friend or family, you really don't know what truly happened. Water. And when we look into this whole scenario, we see a stressed dog traveling from point A to point B. Exhibit A, dog traveling from point A to point B. And in that travel, there's a lot of stress. The dog is leaving his comfortable place and is moving to a new place. He lost his old safe place. Even if was a shelter, even if that was a dirty kennel, at least the dog was comfortable there in the meaning of safety. Or maybe not. Now, in that relocation process, the dog leaves exhibit A, point A, and goes to point B. I know that's funny, right? We notice that the dog is going through a relocation stress that can include anything from fear to aggression, from separation anxiety to resource guarding. Everything can happen there. I don't know if some of you people have elderly people or even yourself moved in or moved out from a city. How did you feel about that? How was your feeling going to this new place? It was always a stress involved. Some people cannot even sleep there if they don't have their own pillow, right? And so this is the first trigger that can happen. We have a resident dog who, out of nowhere, ends up with exhibit A. And all of a sudden, he has to deal with it. So what we create here is we create a forced relationship. In that forced relationship, the dog doesn't have a choice other to deal with the new dog that comes in the house. And I know there's a lot of things they're told outside, how to do it and when to do it. In that book, it tells you how to do it. We're going to talk about it. But for now, let's dig a little bit deeper into that scenario. In this forced relationship, dog A and dog B are forced to be together in the same space, dealing with each other. There is no way for them to get out, right? But that is not only that situation, it can be a starting point. Just because you adopted a dog doesn't mean they're going to get in fight with each other. But in reality is there's a starting point of things to escalate. Think about it as stacking of problems on top of other problems and more problems and more problems. And some point that whole thing collapses. And without you really knowing it, all of a sudden there is kind of like antagonistic behavior going on in there. Some people will dump it in and says, well, that's dominance. He's more dominant. The other one is more submissive. That's not the case. It's a relationship, and these two are struggling, and this has to be resolved. So, by the way, if you like what you heard so far, how about you click that like button or love button? It's up to you. And how about you share that share button and share it outside of the group or outside of my post and invite your friends. Write a short moment. You're not going to miss anything right now. Just write a couple of moments. Hey, guys, I think that's interesting, or you should watch that. And then press that send button and share. It's going to be helpful. If you like what you're hearing, you can also donate some, those little stars on Facebook. I haven't figured out how that works, but just push them and donate some time. So when we look into that aspect, we have to see, how is this happening? There's a dog who doesn't like it, and the other dog who does something. So there's a dog who does something and the other one doesn't like it. There are multiple ways to express that. The one dog can show avoidance behavior and show you certain types of behaviors that indicate, I don't like what you're doing. Test question. Type some things that you have in mind, what that could be. Hint, one thing. Exhibit A, turning the head away. What else could the signals be? Type in the comments. I'm curious to see what you guys talk. Once we notice one of those, the ones that you're typing right now, avoidance behaviors, the other dog will respond or should respond to it. But sometimes they don't. Now, what if those are not responding? What would that be? Number one, I know you knows. If you know, type it in. Be faster than I am. So if a dog doesn't know what that means, it's likely that he hasn't been socialized. So the dog comes from unsocialized environment. He has no clue how those cues are looking like. He never seen another dog because maybe he's been in a breeding facility. Maybe he was just a breeding dog. Maybe he was just in the shelter forever and he didn't have other friends to share his emotions with, and he doesn't understand how to reply. Or has cognitive issues and he really doesn't recognize any. What did you just say? You don't like it? I'm stepping on your leg? Oh, I didn't know that's a problem. Or you get hurt? I don't feel pain. I don't care. And so there's this miscommunication happening. Now, once we as parents see that incident happening and we see these two guys are trying to communicate and we don't intervene, we're open up a can of worms and possibilities that can lead to the most dramatic event. But since you're here, you're definitely not getting into that. So also read once in a while in the comments because they're interesting things. We're going to talk about that in a bit. So I'm keeping up your comments. I'm watching them. Now, as a parent, we have to intervene if we see injustice. But the reality is, who are we to tell the dogs what to do if the dogs don't see us as a point of reference? As a relational behavior consultant, I always look into what is the relationship between the caregiver and the dog, right? And in order to establish that basic relationship, we have to look into the very basics of the hierarchy of dog needs. Which page again is that in a book for you guys who have already the book? Without opening it, I can tell you It's not in the physical page 3, but it's in the page 3. Let's check it out. Page. Right? Here it is. That's the sign. So you want to look at it, right? And I hope I have that also in my documents here so I can share it with you. No, I don't. Oh my God. Anyway, but you can look into it. The first thing we're going to look for is meeting the dog's biological needs. Right at the very bottom, biological needs. And what does it say there exactly? It says proper nutrition, fresh water, sufficient exercise, air, sleep, indoor shelter, safety, temperature control, gentle grooming, gentle veterinary care. What the bark is that? It is everything the dog needs to feel safe, to feel cared for, to feel heard, to feel safe, to feel clean, to be cared about. So if we don't address the biological needs, we're not even having a relationship. The basic relationship between dogs and the other side could be predator-prey relationship or prey-predator relationship. Is that what you want? You have a predator in your house and you will be the prey, or the other way around? You're the dominant guy and your dog is the victim? No, right? You want a better relationship. So if you want to address those issues that we're talking about, and if you want to help your dogs trusting you, you have to establish a caregiver relationship. And the basic biological needs are met by whom? That was a question, right? That's a question that you can answer in the comments. Tell me, who is that who always takes care of their biological needs from day one? The parent, right? The parent. But wait, you're not the parent. You cannot be the parent because you're not a dog, I guess, right? And obviously, I don't want to go there than that, right, Lisa? The parents. But what you can be in the best case scenario will be the surrogate parent. And that's a huge responsibility. Since we take away the dog from his family, bring him to our home, we take over that responsibility. And that means I am responsible. It doesn't mean I have to micromanage my dog. It doesn't mean I have to be violent to my dog. All I have to do is making the dog needs his I need coffee. Meet his needs. I got it. Right? Now, I know people who says, yeah, you humanizing dogs. How dare you? Hold on. They're mammals. We are mammals. They have families. We have families. We take them from one family, put them in another family. We can make that connection and says, I'm the surrogate caregiver. Makes you feel better like that? Good. Right? So once we have that established and once the dog feels his needs are met, that creates an attraction between you and your dog. The dog actually wants to have that thing secured that he gets from you, that flow of support and help, and he would do everything to keep that going. This is a huge motivation. People think that food is motivation. You haven't had a relationship yet, right? You're running out of money. Is your relationship stopping? No. Do you enjoy having money without having a relationship? No. So you see, relationship is an important thing. We always want somebody with, right? We want somebody to talk to, somebody to listen to, somebody to share our problems, somebody to protect us, somebody to feel not alone. It's part of our being. All the animals, all the species have the other side, them and the other side that they associate with. And so that's an important key factor that you can take to your advantage. What was that? Right, exactly. I agree. So once we have established that biological needs, what is the next thing that on our list that is important for us to start having a little bit more parenting power? The next part would be the emotional needs. And what does it entail? I'm reading. security, love, trust, consistency, benevolent leadership. Interesting, right? But don't see those as lines. It's not that and then this. Like all those weird memes out there, oh, 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years, whatever they call. No, no, no. We're not talking about that. We talk about that the biological needs has to be established. Is the sequence of events. That and this had happened. And then all of a sudden, as these things happening, the emotional needs are being fulfilled too. Because if you care for your dog, there is an emotional connection happening here, right? Your dog feels more safe, he feels cared for, and take love like with a, you know, some grain of salt, because the way we love and the dogs express their love in this minimalistic way is not just hugs and kisses. I see people, oh, I love my dog. I love my dog unconditionally. First, delete the word unconditionally, because humans can do unconditional love because there's always something involved with it. We're just humans, right? But dogs don't have ego as we have, so there's a little bit more unconditional coming from them than it comes from us. But that's just my opinion, right? So then we have trust, and then we have consistency, which is important factor. Like for example, my consistency with my power lately, I'm not very comfortable about that because they have more and more outages. So our relationship is kind of really at the edge here because they are not consistent, but they expect me to be consistent. They provide me 100% of a power, right? So if we're not consistent, things will can a little bit go wrong way. Are you consistent with your dogs? I try. I'm not perfect, but sometimes don't be always consistent with taking them out for a walk because of the weather, because I'm crampy, kind of stuff. And then we have benevolent leadership. So leadership is kind of like a gray zone where people can interpret the way they want it, depending on what kind of parenting styles you have. So if you're authoritative, authoritarian, permissive, avoidant, But let's talk about the do no harm aspect of it. You have to be a dog parent that is in the best and highest good for your dog, right? You're not one of those people who just take a dog to get more boys or girls, right? You don't have that dog to get more likes on your Facebook page. You have a dog because you care for the dogs and you want to provide him a home. I don't go deeper than that. So let's take those 2 points. Emotional needs and biological needs are met. And so now we have established that type of relationship, how the energy is flowing, right? Now we recognize that since we have that parenting power and we have established all those things, we can slowly put in some rules. Rule number 1. Rule number 2. Rule number 3. And those rules that you set should be followed without violence. You can educate your dog, building down those little concepts, these mind bridges. This leads to that, and that leads to the other. We're going to talk about that for now, but my Greek kicked in. I speak 3 languages, and my brain sometimes thinks Greek and sometimes thinks English. So if you hear a word that doesn't make any sense, it was likely Greeklish. Opa. So let's talk about parenting a dog. Once they establish that relationship that we talk about, and the dog shows discomfort, we expect the dog to reach out to us for support. And I have one exercise that I can help you with that I work with for the last 11 years and was very helpful to create that communication that we need. Okay? Watch this. Get yourself a couple of treats. I would say 10 treats on one hand and try 10 treats on the other. Load your fingers, let the dog smell the treats, and then split them in 2 directions. Direction number 1, direction number 2. And then wait for your dog to look at you, and then you deliver the 2 treats in their mouth. That you do if your dog doesn't have food aggression and it's not likely going to bite your fingers off. So put some logic into that. If you feel uncomfortable doing that exercise, skip it, but you're welcome to reach out to me and we can talk about it. So once you offer that as an idea, so if you have a problem, you want those two treats and you split them into directions, dog has to make a choice. Which one of those two treats can he get? Well, the tragic on the whole thing is they're two in different locations, so it's impossible for him to get at the same time. But the moment he checks in with you, bingo, he gets both treats. I don't, I would suggest not to put your dog in a position to sit down, stay, or any kind of whatever we call commands, which I hate the word, but any cue, don't give your dog any cue. It's a free will decision. He has to make the bridge of a problem into places can be solved by reaching out to my caregiver, and this caregiver will solve the problem. What we create here is we create the idea of communicating back to you that, well, if you, this is things there and there, and if I look at these things, then don't come to me in my mouth without anything. Maybe I look at you, maybe you tell me what's going on here. Yes. So we reward the thinking and the reaching out for help, or we reward the question, what the heck is going on here? Why do you have those treats? The question and the request is being rewarded. So all of a sudden now we create that thinking bridge that if you have a problem, make eye contact, I will know to step in. Now we have a foundation. We have a foundation that if the dog's struggling with his partner, they're going to look at you like, he's being a jerk right now. And you can see it and diffuse it, right? How do we diffuse things? Well, there are multiple ways to do it. The most safest way is to redirect. But there is usually a vicious circle happening there. That redirect becomes a rewarding thing, which means if I want my parents' attention or my guardian's attention, I'm going to attack my friend. And so I get their attention, which is a functional behavior. We don't want to go that route. But what we can do is we can establish a cue that gets attention without physically rewarding, right? So we're going to start with the exercise number 2. Exercise number 2 is we give the dog a treat, and the dog being consistent, expecting a treat, and we announce the treat by using the dog's name. Name, reward. Name, reward. Name, reward. What is it called again? What I just did? Saying the name and rewarding it? Anyone? Type it in. I'm curious to see. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to reinforce that 10 treats. So keep 10 treats in your pocket or 10 treats in your hands. Reload your hand. Say the word, give the treat. Say the word, give the treat. Now, of course, we have 2 dogs. You have dog A and dog B. I call them A and B for short. But you cannot say A, B, pay attention. Or you can get a last name that both have, right? So you can create a cue that gets attention to both dogs. So we can use the dog's name and that magic cue. I call it here, for example. Here, pay attention to me, here. And you can either work with the word here or with the name. So use 10 rounds with their name and 10 rounds with the word here. Now we associate the word with reward. But don't think that we're going to keep that for long. But we're going to create again the bridge to the here means pay attention. Something important is happening that gets you rewarded at the end, right? So in order to create that idea, so we're going to take a treat. Good point. Smart. Take the treat, say the name, and toss it. But be careful here. You can only do this with one dog at a time in one particular room. We don't want competition. We don't want the fetching, event happening here. So say the name, toss the treat, and the dog goes and picks up the treat. I know you want visuals. Exhibit A, name, treat. The dog runs to pick up the treat, and then he comes back to you. You call that come. and reward for arriving. So what we create now, all of a sudden, we create a static exercise and then we make it a mobile exercise. So from name equals street, we say name equals action in an ad to an address and payment is there. We call that go, which is the action, the cue, and the address, which is get it. Get it wherever that location is. Now, from that, we can move then into go to your bed, go potty, go to the car, let's go for a walk. So go means away from me, and come means towards me. Simple things, right? So now that we have this coming and going, now we're going back to our problem. If two dogs have an issue and you see them kind of bowling or they're going to get into a thing because you have your little grandchild in the house and your friend or even your own kid and they drop something on the floor and you see it and the dog like, oh, there is something on the floor, you can call them to you instead because you have programmed that. Pay attention, something important is happening, come to me for further instructions, kind of thing, right? And so now that we have that set, we can go to the next level. We need to tell them that before I physically reward you, I would like to have you a little thing going in between. So we start creating in between tasks between the cue and the payment, right? So go get it, come. What else can we use for the next level before we give the treat? Anyone? And I'll tell you how to get there. So there are multiple ways to teach the dog to do things. We can lure the dog to do things. So we offer the treat and then put the dog over there, and the dog, because he wants to get the treat, actually goes in the position. The moment he sits on the ground, we call that sit and we give him a treat, right? Things that I would like you not to do is physically pushing a dog down, because that usually works. Or some people get even worse. They kind of pull the dog up and the butt's down because some people think that's a good thing to do. No, it's not. Physically manipulation to your dog is as violent as human manipulation to another person without their consent, right? So what we can use is a behavior that is offered for free, and then we shape it. Free shaping rings a bell, right? So what we do is we wait for the dog to show us what is it worth to him that we have to offer. So we want to be in a level of reinforcement that is a high value, right? And so we offer the treat. The dog looks at the treat and is like, oh my God, I want that treat. First thing he can do, he can jump on you, right? And that gets him nowhere. You're not punishing a dog. You're not turning your back around. You just remove the treat because that's not what you would like to do. When the dog jumps up, you just make a little hint with your hand that is being not given. The moment the dog puts all his legs on the ground and eventually sits, then you give the reward. If you can get that consistent happening, okay, go get it, come back, good sit, reward. We start naming that behavior. So now you put the tag on the dog's feelings of offering that behavior to get what you have. Now all of a sudden you have a two-way communication. The dog is telling you that he's ready to get the treat by showing you a behavior that you will reward, right? No force, no power, nothing like that. But slow enough, the dog has to concentrate, understanding the situation, get his emotions in check, and do something for you to get something that he wants. That's a lot of thinking. And in that process of processing, the dog has to focus on what she's doing. Dogs are pretty much like me, kind of thing. I have ADD and I can only focus on one thing at a time. So if I do something right now and my wife tells me to do something else and I see that as important, I drop what I'm doing and doing that. And then I forget what I have done. It's like, damn it, what I was doing again? It take me an hour to get back to that. I'm not saying the dogs have ADD, but the way they kind of thinking in those linear systems, I don't know, have never had an MRI done on dog. I feel like this is what the processing goes through. But sometimes they do have pendings. If they are very important, they are up there waiting to get back to the job. What we want the dog to do to make important pendings that they think it's very important, rethink and follow your instructions instead. Because the last thing you want is you want the dogs to be with you, they come to you, and then they go back making the problem, right? And we have to be very careful because everybody tells us if a dog does what you do or what you want them to do, you have to reward them. Yes, but you have to be careful that you're not rewarding the behavior he was doing and then came back to you to get paid for it. It makes sense, right? And if it doesn't make sense, tell me about it. Like, dude, what are you talking about? That's not like that. This is like this. I'm open. We have a conversation here. I guess you don't have your bathrobe, but I do. And I'm definitely not kind of guru. So once we have that set, we will be able to redirect our both dogs to get their attention towards us if we see things can get a little bit gray. That may not work if dogs already getting fight each other. It's like while you're having a crash, putting a seatbelt on, it's not going to work like that. But we want to be proactive rather than reactive. So we're not thinking down the worst case scenario. We're going to think about how can we prevent that worst case scenario to start with. Putting the seatbelt before you start the engine. That's what you do, right? Am I right? You better do that. Click, then turn. Good. So before we do these things, we have to create a relationship. Then we have to teach the dogs our family code of conduct, what things we do and what things we don't do. And then we can expect them to follow the rules. Because we're consistent, they are forced to be consistent. Not because we are forcing them, it's because that peer pressure, that family thing does the thing for us. Right? So what do when you want to have a good relationship with your partner? You pay attention to what they like and what they don't like, and then you avoid things or do things. Did somebody tell you to do that? No, it's your own thing that you do, and dogs do have that. Not so in such complexity, but they do want to pay attention. What is the best interest of the group we're living in? That makes us be part of the group. It doesn't make us get us outcasted. So dogs have this thing better than wolves have, is where they really understand how to stay in the family and pay attention to those little details that humans have. Wolves don't do that. Wolves don't care about humans, but dogs do. In the genetic lineage, we always bred dogs in to pay attention to what humans do. Not 100%, but that information is important. It's being shown in studies. Maybe somebody has the link already handy to kind of click it in. So now that we have that set, now we have to look into beyond those things that we can easily control. So, for example, underlying conditions that we don't know of. Sometimes dogs genetically predisposition because of their genes to not be able to process stress as well. And so even if something happened in the past, it takes long time for them to calm down forever. Right? We can eventually help support them by doing a couple of exercises. Imagine going to the gym and do a cardio exercise. We can do that also with emotions. We can get the dog excited and teach him how to calm down and then reward the calmness. The faster you calm down, the faster you get rewarded. That was an example. So now that we have those things set, let's go deeper into doing an assessment in general. So what we need to do that is to ask the question, how can I help my dog using a DoNoHarm training book? Right? Good question. Now, if something is very urgent, like it happened yesterday and it can escalate like today or tomorrow, you're welcome to reach out for help and we can talk about it. Schedule a quick appointment, see the situation, classify this as dangerous or very dangerous, or don't worry about it. It just always happened once. The next thing is, for me as holistic behavior consultant, I'm focusing on the whole thing. I'm not only on one. And one thing because I like that book is because it looks at all these things and not only on one. Because many books just blame the dog. Fix the dog, take over control of your dog, have your dog being your slave, blah, blah, blah. So I use the DoNoHarm group and all these 4 free applications to address the dog's holistic needs in a relationship, in a friendship, in your home. Yes, and it's science-based, right? Science-based behavior modification and training. Uh, Words that I kind of weird use because people resonate with it because that's what they think it is. But in reality, I like to have behavior intervention and education. Anyway, here's how you can use your book effectively when you're struggling with specific behavior issues. First of all, what we have to find out is, do you have the book? So if you don't have the book, link in the description, get the book. And if you cannot wait for the book to get in mail, get your Kindle. I have a Kindle book and I have the physical book. You cannot imagine how many times it helped me click, answer questions and get ideas. So the next thing you want to do is identify the behavior issues. What exactly is the bark going on here, right? Do I need to get off my bathrobe and get in my training gear, or is it something I can deal with like that? For example, what is exactly happening? Is this aggression? Is it redirected aggression? Is it just fear? Is it separation anxiety? Did you know that dogs can get into fights because of separation anxiety? Right? That can happen. I'll give you an example. One dog had separation anxiety and started getting anxious, and that anxiousness overwhelms the other dog, and he wants it to stop happening. And what will he do? He's gonna go after your neighbor. Good. See you soon. So, separation anxiety can cause that kind of behavior. Resource guarding. Simple as that. We're at home, we're cooking, we make all those noises with the canned food, whatever you guys are feeding, with the plastic bag, with the container, with the Tupperware, whatever, I don't want to call any names, and the fresh food smells over the kitchen, and the dog is slobbering. And in that stressful situation, can trigger eventually a pre-existing trauma. Ta-da! Trauma is a key factor. For example, a dog who is being neglected as a puppy, being left alone for hours in a crate, everything that gets him excited, his body goes into like, ugh, and all of a sudden you have an issue, right? And what happens if the dog gets so excited that he has an issue and the other guy is also excited? He's going to stop that from happening. That's accessible. So, shut up. And the other dog is like, no, you shut up. No, you shut up. Boom. It takes like 3 seconds. Pop, 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 done. I remember a case that I had very early in my practice. I think it was like 2011. A colleague of mine in UK called me, actually messaged me. I actually didn't know the person in person. Says, hey, I know you do these things. I have a problem with my dog, but here's the thing. Be quiet about it. I don't want anybody to know about it because where I'm working on, my clients and my community cannot know that I have that problem. So after about 2 hours of conversation back and forth, we found out what it is. And guess what it was? The one dog was a professional dog and the other one was a professional duo. But both dogs had a specific thing on them that made them to be seen as a professional. And the one dog got it off and the other one didn't. So the other dog was constantly on a job, but the other one was just a happy-go-lucky dog once that sign went off. And what happened if the dog got all over excited? The dog who was on a job corrected the dog who was stupid. Boom. And the solution was quite interesting because we found out that the dog was overworked and he needed vacation. So we gave the dog vacation, off duty, off the job, become his dog again. And that was it. They were just besties again. And then we knew what to do. If both dogs came home, both dogs had to become pets. And when the dogs went to the job, both dogs had to be on the job. Easy solution, right? Anyway, the next thing we're going to look for is finding the relevant chapter. So use the contents and locate the chapter that you want to look for. Okay? Understand the foundations. Read the introduction part 1. Read it word for word. Somebody thought something about it and wrote it down and spent so much time, years, to put all these things together. So they must be important to this person. And this person knows what they're talking about. Linda Michaels, she has experience. She worked in shelters, she works with wolves. She has a lot of experience, and she sat down and wrote it down for you so you don't have to struggle with it. Okay? So now that we know the chapters, what we're looking for, we need to review the needs and training. Right? We need to know, what things do I not offer my dog that can cause that problem? If I don't meet my dog's needs, automatically that causes stress, right? So check those off. So check chapter 1 and 5 for needs and dog training basics, right? The next thing we want to look for is making sure you set your situation up to success. Don't cut your own limb you're sitting on by skipping those things. Okay? So part 2 refers to the foundational guidance. Read it. I know you have to read about it. Well, yeah, you can. I don't know if some documents are already audible, but what I have is I have an app on my phone that actually can read text. It actually reads the screen. I just have to turn the page and continue reading down. So use that instead. Having coffee, or you watch our videos here. Then what we want to do is start with training basics. I gave you already 2 exercises, so get your butt up, get yourself in the bathrobe, grab those treats, and start working on it. Revisit part 3 for training and manners. It gives you all this information that you need to do. Specific behavior issues, right? Focus on that part 4 for detailed strategies. There are different strategies to approach those things. We can talk hours for it. We can talk a book long about it. But you can check the instructions in the back. So if you look at the instructions, don't try to find the word. Search for the category. It is an aggressive behavior. That's all you need. Aggressive behavior. Go to the chapter, aggression, click on that, and read it. Don't try to find aggressive toy chewing. Come on, really. If you have a car problem, you don't go to the mechanic and says, turn my spark plug for 3 turns, because that's what I found in the instructions. You tell him, hey, my car doesn't run. Let the professional do it. So the professional is the book. You tell him what the problem is. The professional book shows you what to do with it. Right? Next page. Remember, we talked about being consistent. You have to implement the strategies. Apply techniques from those relevant chapters, depending on what you're dealing with, and be consistent. Get your partner's helps. Honey, I'm working with the dogs. Can you please, I don't say the word, and help me? Right? Yeah, call your family for help. They're here to help you. It's not your problem. A dog in your home is not your problem. Just like if your family member has a problem, it's not his problem, it's the family's problem. Omerta, I think it's the kind of magic one. No, we're not going that direction. The next thing what to do is monitor the progress. The things that I apply, do I see a progress? There are multiple reasons why things can happen. Your dog doesn't get it because he's not the smartest dog on the block, right? Or he's too smart and kind of see through you already. And he knows when you grab that cabinet, oh, we have some work to do. You want to be very careful that you're not bribing your dog into certain behaviors, because that's a dead end, right? Dead end means if you don't open that cabinet, the dog is not listening to you. So be careful to be discreet. It's kind of like going to buy a used car and you have all this money pouring out of your wallet. You will not get a deal, right? So be smart about it. I basically apply a 24/7 education process, right? And the next thing we look for is to sometimes come up with ideas and solutions and magic treats in your pocket. Your dog had no clue. Yes, you can have a little tiny Ziploc bag in your pocket, like a sunny sandwich bag. Doesn't have to be the gallon bag, a sandwich bag. Put some treats in there, remove vacuum. If you have fresh treats and you don't want them to dry out, you can even put a little slice of an apple peel in it. It keeps it moist and it's not toxic. And then have them in your pocket. Take it out before you wash your clothes. And then you come up with a surprise. And the dog is smart about it. Does she have a treat today? Does she have a treat today? And they're like, I don't know. If you don't do what I'm asking you to do, you will never figure it out. Right? The next thing we're going to look for is, what if things don't work out? Happens. It's not because the book is wrong. Trust me, the book is right. But sometimes we misinterpret, we are biased, we don't see the truth of it, we're preferring one dog over the other. You know how many times I've seen people try to get rid of the wrong dog? I had a client the other day that had two mastiffs and a terrier, and that's what they give me information on the appointment. So we did a behavior assessment online. We sit down, we schedule the appointment, fill out the forms. I knew everything about them, the three dogs, blah, 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 all the age, different breeds, all these different behaviors. And we're like, oh, that's an easy peasy thing. We can fix that. And then while we had the session, suddenly I'm seeing the three dogs on the screen and I heard a fourth dog barking. I'm like, who's that? Ah, that's Freddy. He's deaf. He's in the other room. He always barks. Is it? Why is not in a questionnaire? Yeah, he's too old for things. We don't want him to train anymore. But, you have a problem with the door. And if somebody's at the door, these dogs of yours, those three, are fighting in front of the door, trying to kill each other. So that is important to me. And guess what? I have a feeling that this little guy is maybe deaf, but he can feel the vibration of the people coming up the stairs. He knows already that. And he's barking everybody. He's kind of a little remote control, tells everybody what to do. Ah, we're going to get killed. We're going to get killed. And everybody tries to kill the killer who comes to the door. Sorry, my language. Right? And this is what I asked them to do. I would like you to remove that little dog and go in the car and sit with your dog there for a couple of minutes, right? And then what I would like you to do, somebody else goes around the house and knocks at the door like you would be a stranger. Guess what happened? No dog barked. No dog went even to the door. Why is that? Because Freddy didn't tell them that there's somebody here to kill him. And so the trigger was gone. And trust me, these people wanted to surrender the dog who attacked the other dogs. For what? Because they missed that part. So yeah, it can happen that sometimes you don't see things the right way. Things just slip under the carpet or you're feeling between the cracks. And that can make a big difference. How many of you guys have seen this happening? That one that you don't pay attention to gave you the hint or gave the dogs the hint. And without that hint, nobody would do anything. Like what was this movie with the tiny me kind of thing, right? So what do you think so far? Did I tell you exactly what to do? No, I can't. I don't know your situation. How could I? But if you want me to know about your situation, welcome to reach out. What else do we do here? We want to make sure that we have everything in the right place, right? So what do? We get the book. Somebody is so nice and put the link in the comments, right? The next thing we want to do is, remember, here's the moment that you do the screenshot. Identify the issue. Pinpoint the behavior problem. Number 2, find relevant chapters. Use the contents to locate the related chapters. Number 3, understand foundations. Read the instructions and the part 1, step by step. Review the needs in training. Check chapters 1 and 5 for needs and training basics. Setting up for success, of course, because you don't want to cut yourself up. Refer to part 2 for foundational guidance. Basic training, revisit part 3 for training and manners. 7. Specific behavior issues. Focus on part 4 for detailed strategies. 8. Implement strategies. Apply techniques from relevant chapters. 9. Monitor the progress. And if you see problems coming up, reach out for help, right? So, you cannot tell me I didn't tell you, can you? Right? Okay, time for Q&A. Your turn. I need more coffee. I'm listening. Oh, right. You guys had already put some questions in. Okay, let me go through it a little bit, figure it out. Lisa from Colorado. I have 2 male Great Pyrenees that and was a rescue, and we introduced them all wrong. We keep them apart now. Oh yeah, I see that often. Even though guardian dogs are bred to be together, but sometimes it can go wrong. So I think this is a good to talk about it, because I don't want you to live a two people's life, right? This life and the other life. Maybe we can start implementing a project to get them on the right path, because guardian dogs are complex, and not knowing exactly their background and their adoption history, sometimes we will see some behaviors happening. We can pinpoint what exactly the root cause is, and sometimes we can do a new fresh restart. It takes a bit longer since the first date went wrong, but there is a possibility we can turn this around. Steve, Lisa, if you know Steve, you're also welcome to reach out. You kind of like to hear the same things and get the same book recommendation. Yep, I agree. So the next thing is, can we always tell when dogs playing might get too rough? Yes, you can always tell that. You want to see dogs are playing around, and then suddenly the one dog tries to avoid things, turn away. At some point, he shakes it off, and the other dog goes back to it again. Sometimes the other dog comes to you, and you pet them, right? Those things. Pay attention to those little details. You want to make sure that you create an upper limit in the play. Now, some people have the idea, I'm not saying you, I'm just generalize here, that we get a puppy for the dog to have a friend. We get a dog for a dog to have a friend. It's like your mom finds you the partner to get married. Sounds weird. But I hear where you're coming from with this, if that's the case. But we want to be careful that some dogs are really, really energetic to the point that the other dog gets overwhelmed. The reason why they get overwhelmed is because eventually we have an underlying medical condition like an inflammation or joint pain or weather sensitivity or food sensitivity or allergies. And that constant barking at my head makes me crazy. I don't want to play with you. Or a dog is fine starting the game, and then the game gets too rough and too bitey and feisty, right? So you want to create an upper limit. But at the same time, because we have to meet the needs, the social needs of the dog, right? That's the third level of our hierarchy. We want to make sure that we take off the pressure of the partner and take that pressure on us. And we do some tug of war, we do some playing, we extend our walk, but I'm not seeing in mileage. If the more mileage you walk a dog, the more economic he's going to get. So he's going to save energy. And what you try to burn energy, which is impossible, you cannot burn energy. But you can make the walk more interactive. Use, for example, sniffing exercises, targeting exercises, add some cues, add some complicated tasks for the dog to solve, like climbing up, climbing down, jumping, doing certain things. Make that more fun and enriching, right? The next thing we want to look for is making sure both dogs are healthy. Sometimes underlying stress, lack of nutritional value food, can cause a little bit stress, and stress gets the dog into kind of like this less tolerant mood. So mood is affecting, and food can cause mood swings and changes, and but also underlying conditions. So you want to rule out medical conditions first before we go big thing here, right? So and as soon as you see escalating, find the moment where one of the dogs gives you an eyesight after you do the exercise. So teach the dog to check in with you if they need help. So wait for that. Wait for a look. It will be just a second long. Just pay attention to it. And as soon as you see that, everybody, come here. Dinner time, or let's go some chewing some things, and do a soft interrupter. Soft interrupter is not going out there with sticks and pans and ding, ding, ding. No, 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 no. Soft interruption means, hey guys, come here. Thank you. How about you guys sit next to me? How about everybody lays down? Thank you. Good job. I got something for you guys. Everybody gets a treat. Good. Now go back play. And what you do is you create that upper upper limit up there. Not more than that. So you want to look for excitement. You don't want that excitement to turn into anxiety, right? It's kind of like, okay, gambling, but man, don't spend more than you have for that game. That is the upper limit. And always pay attention to the other dogs feeling uncomfortable. The moment you see that, that's your upper limit. And what you create that consistency, and those dogs will come to you telling you, hey, mom, we reached the upper limit. Treat time. And you're like, nice work, guys. You will see that happening. They suddenly remove their games, come back to you. You know that reached out that limit. Good. I have a friend who adopted a rescue that appeared to be well, but one day the owner came home, and after all 5 dogs were, wow. Yeah, that can happen. Okay. So yeah, it's tragic. So one thing that I notice is, to these kind of unfortunate events, you have to sit down and talk. People need a closer. They need to understand what exactly happened. So from my experience, and I'm doing this for a very long time, I have seen different things happening. So for example, everything was fine until somebody ignored the sign at the door, no solicitation, because the people are weird. They come in and knock at the door, bam, bam, bam. Dogs get anxious about it. One dog gets upset about it, and all of a sudden the whole team chimes in, and there's a fight going on, and the stronger one will stop fighting, will stop that one by one. A guardian dog can kill a group of coyotes. Yeah, he can turn off to his own people. Not people, but dogs. And don't take it wrong. A dog attacking another dog doesn't mean he's going to attack the people. That's kind of far-fetched. Not happening. Usually not. But very, very rare. Just the dog has to have neurological issues. And that can cost all the dog's life, because people will not be able to live with that dog in the same house. It's a really complex situation. Okay. So muzzle is a safe thing to do, but muzzle is just a cover up, until you start working with the underlying cause. So yeah, precaution, baby gates. I don't like to have. I used to live with 13 dogs. 5 of them were breeding dogs with champions grades, but other dogs were rescues, because I also worked with the rescue. We had rescues and we had breeder dogs, and so we had to be very careful how they interact with each other. From transmission of health issues, but at the same time, we never wanted that to happen. So I had my home divided by 2, the rescue section and the breeder dog sections, and that's how we lived basically for a couple of years. That's what you do. So you have to be very careful. I would never move to a house where I don't have options, right? I would rather stay to the same house where I have options. I always have a back door available. So if I have a home with 2 doors, the one exit is for the rescues and the other exit is for the other dog. I just don't even get them involved, right? But yeah, that's something we can do. We can talk about it if you want. What's that? Yes, Carol. As adopter of dogs who attacked Carol's dog, and as the adopter of the adopted dog's relative, I do not feel guilty in making the decision of euthanasia. Yeah, I feel these are things that happen. Both of those clients that I mentioned today, or three clients that I mentioned today, had these options to euthanasia. They were just angry at the dog. They just went over and beyond their feelings, right? And they said, instead of having my dog living in the kennel, I have to make that ultimate decisions. But these people went at the end of their knowledge and they thought that's the end of the road, and we still had a consultation and then we got over that hurdle. So even if that would be me, and it happened to me, I have to say, when one of my rescue dogs, and was fresh in my relationship, um attacked my wife, my now wife, and I had to make the call. It's like, should I or should I not? So I called in a colleague who I believe she can help me, and she did. She helped me remember things that I forgot about it because I was so biased. I'm, as men, we have this weird sense of that we have to fix things and take responsibility, blah blah blah. But sometimes we're going beyond that, and we make choices that are not rational, they're passionate, right? So if you have to make a decision, yes, your heart is important, but you have to immediately put on your mind and thoughts and logic into place like Mr. Spock does. And so I would say, make decisions 49% heart and 51% logic gets you somewhere. If you make 100% passionate decisions, you're going to end up wrong. If you make 100% logical decisions, you're going to fall short. So always make sure that you have the option to talk. Like that email this morning, and another phone call yesterday, was that, like, I work with three trainers and now I have to take my dog down, and the vet called me and says, hey, I have a client here, she wants to put the dog down, and the dog is young, what should we do? And I was like, what is the situation? My next question is, what kind of training does this person follow? Oh, well, it makes sense that people who don't know will tell your dog is unfixable after shock collar training and after prong collar training, and it's dump the dog, because I'm never admit that I don't know more. So I'm gonna blame the dog, and you have to take your responsibility for your own dog because of my lack of knowledge, kind of thing, right? Yeah, I've been there, done it too. I thought I knew everything until I figured out I knew nothing. I just thought I knew everything, right? Yeah. So always, if that some ever comes to your mind and I have to put my dog down because he killed my other dog, reach out for help, right? Even after past the event that happened, at least you get a closure. You know what happened, what did wrong, so it doesn't happen again. Very often, it's not the dog's fault to lash out. PTSD is the key word here. The dog suddenly went into a PTSD rage and attacked the other dog. He didn't even see the other dog partner. He saw just an aggressor. For him, it was a monster, right? And he wanted to stop that monster being a monster. You would do it. I would do it. Everybody would do it. Is it our fault? No. Brain didn't work. Brain shut off. Body went into survival mode. Survival mode means kill to survive. That's it. Okay, sensitive trigger here. My issue with service dogs. The issue with service dogs, they never take vacation. Yes, it's also important for those who work with dogs and train with dogs and professionals who work with dogs, help people recognize those dogs need the time out. They need to recover. They need to be themselves again. There's a lot of pressure, emotional pressure. And I don't know because I don't train service dogs, but you who do, I know you know better. Point it out to those people. Make sure the have is up and running. So, do you guys have any other questions? My coffee's cold. I need to refresh my coffee. Did you like what you heard today? Yes, you can say it. It's okay. I like to read it. Let's call it this way. I like to see, oh, Roman, you're awesome. No, I'm kidding. So, another question here. Oh, you guys are good typers. I just adopted two litter mates. I've bought them the DoNoHarm book. Oh, good. Okay. Let me start it here. Star. Um, I work on training separately. Correct. They are 12. Oh, the babies. I want, right? You don't want to use a shock collar or anything that could harm them, but I don't know if typical puppy play that, yeah, good thing. Let's talk about that. Um, One thing that I noticed, there is a lot of miscommunication out there about littermate. We call it a syndrome, and there are all types of words. If you scientifically search it, you technically will not find any studies that call it a littermate syndrome. What you will find, though, is that dogs who are from the same family and being adopted together, they have a tendency, because they have already established a relationship. There are different type of relationships that can happen here, from survival relationship to a learning relationship and to a bad relationship. It can happen that those dogs are so tuned to each other and so dependent on each other, and look into the unhealthy relationship. The unhealthy relationship would be to help the other dog get a healthier relationship by directing the relationship towards you, right? And so what happens, it's a trauma-based relationship. The dog is being removed from the litter. We don't know which dog these dogs felt comfortable with. So dogs create these little dyads of him and the other. And so they feel safe, they cooperate together. Sometimes those dyads get a little bit more complex. A dyad will follow a third dog, and the third dog is usually the parent, or it's another sibling if the parents are being removed. And so it can be kind of complex, and that can cause friction. It's like children in a home raise themselves on their own because the parents are, unhealthy, there are emotional problems, and they just grow with each other. And then the one dog will parent the other dog, which is unhealthy because the dog doesn't know how to parent. So things can get a little bit out of hand. And if we're not paying attention to that, it can become a problem. So is it a syndrome? No, but it is a problem. So we have to put in an intervention program, help these dogs become more independent from each other, which some dogs cannot even walk separate. They have to work together, right? And so we have to be very careful about that. So there are different techniques, but it always depends on the situation, on the breed, on the past experience, right? And this is how we can do that. So I don't know who types that. Brenda. Oh, here we go. Yeah, welcome. Yep, thank you. Brenda. Yeah, watch the replay. It's an important topic, and it's always a taboo. People don't talk about it, but I don't mind. I can talk about it. Yes, I don't know who that is, but yes, I disagree, Roman. I would have just passed this dog. Yeah, I'm not saying you should just remove the dog from your home and put it in another place, but sometimes we can go through a process of intervention. I'm not saying that would be the case, but I'm speaking in general here as people who have issues. We can address those issues. Usually, there are rare things that it's impossible to fix. And fixing is a bad term, but sometimes it takes more effort than people have time for, or the financial abilities to, or the space to do it. If you live in my RV that I did, it was very hard to separate those dogs because there's nothing to separate. You have just a salami with a bed and a couch and a kitchen, and that's it, right? Um, German Shepherds, they are definitely attached to me and follow me everywhere. Yeah, right? Yeah, I would be careful with the thought of a pack leader thing. Um, there is a misunderstanding about what the pack leader is, and dogs follow the pack leader. You cannot, technically speaking, being the pack leader because you're not a dog and you don't have a tail and you're definitely not the parents. And if we go deeper into this pack leader, the pack leader is the parent, the birth parent, and they have this already established relationship, right? And so once that relationship is established, then you can talk yourself as a guardian. But I would stay there, because going down the pack leader thought gets you into this gray zone of misinformation out there, what the pack leader does and what he's not, and things. So I would be very careful with that term. I'm not saying you're using it the wrong way. You just, be careful about that thought. Take the book, read the book. It explains exactly what it is and how it is and what it's not. Helps you a lot. Yeah, I think we have to be careful. I give you an example in regards to the pack leader thing, and that's my personal opinion. Take it with a grain of salt, and of course, having my coffee mug. Oh, did I tell you can get your own coffee mug? You go to DoNoHarmDogTraining.com and click on the shop, and then you can get one. And you can get the shirt, but I don't have the shirt on yet. Anyway, I give you an example. You're going into school and ask the children, who is your pack leader? Everybody will have a different opinion which one it is. If you ask them, who is your favorite teacher? You're likely going to hear more often the same name from most of those people in the class. Question, what do you want to be? The preferred teacher or the pack leader? Because the preferred teacher is the one who can break down examples and problems for the children to learn and have fun. The pack leader is the one who's trying to manipulate, control the whole situation, right? And the kids, some of them like themselves and love. It really depends on really good skills. Would you work for somebody who is the pack leader in your job, or you want to work with somebody who encourages you to be the best you can? Food of thought. Food for thought. Thank you for your questions. Really appreciate it. So, 3 more minutes. Go. Perfect. We adopted them together because we always wanted to have the siblings German Shepherds because she loved the other dogs. Yeah, but we never did, so we wanted to adopt a pair. Yeah, my neighbor had trains dogs and does not a lot of agility, said it should have never done it. Yeah. My parents told me to never get married. They were divorced 3 times. Anyway, this is what I'm talking about. There is a lot of misinformation what litter mates, and I mean rescues fall for it. Oh, litter mates never adopt. I would adopt out litter mates if this person who adopts the dog understands animal behavior, right? Not because he's a trainer, he understands animal behavior. He should really understands animal behavior. I'm not saying that people who are trainers are not don't understand animal behavior, but trainers who are not educated and just are professionals. Professional means I do things, I get paid for it. I don't have to be good to do it. I mean, I went to an exhibition the other day to a fair selling pictures. They're professional painters. They professionally paint and take on contracts and paint, but those paintings were just a mess. They have no art education. They're just mixing colors together. I think they are Da Vinci or something like that. Anyway, yes. Oh, we have a special guest. Pack leaders are actually the mother and father. Yes, exactly what I mentioned already. Roman, thank you for mentioning those. See ourselves in the pet parents, kind, loving, and protective against. Applause, everyone. So Linda is the one who wrote the book. So I hope I didn't say a mess anyway. I'm sometimes say what I feel. Usually we are in alignment. So thank you, Linda, for chiming in. And Linda, please share the link to your website where people can get the coffee mug, the shirt, and of course the book. Why? You know why? Because I think people who have so much work done to share that information should be supported, right? It's not kind of like, yeah, poor people need support. No, we need to support those people. While the social media supports the other people who just, get some paid for advertising. So the groovier you are, the more clown you are, the more bathrobe you're wearing. Okay, I get it. The more likes they get, therefore the platform wants to support that. So you can see all this crap information out there because it's being paid for, and the good people who do good work are not getting paid for it. Damn it. We need to fix that. So get yourself educated. Get your book. Get your coffee mug because you need some coffee to read the book. Goes together. And she has also preferred items in the store, so you can find items that are helpful for dogs and not supporting companies who don't support the do no harm idea. So I, as Linda, support the do no harm approach. And so do no harm is not just a training gig. It's a concept, right? It's a platform. It's a platform. Sheldrake would call it. Miss the name right now. It come to my brain at some point. Where people, similar-minded people, join and make that happening, right? So we want to support that part, because if we don't support that, who's gonna do it? Force-free training or do no harm training, or the idea of not harming animals, doesn't make money the industry. It's boring. People know how to solve their problems without buying shock collars and prong collars. Yeah, it's boring. It doesn't make money. No, we need money, right? So, chiming in, Linda, first, do no harm is an ethical movement in dog training. Yeah, I wrote this to help parents, trainers, and also the book. I sincerely wish somebody had written it for me. Yeah, that's why I'm sharing your book, because you wrote it for me, because I couldn't get my bathrobe together to write the book that I wanted to write, which I'm still writing at some point. But I would not change anything on that book. It would be your book and my book next to each other, kind of thing. If you don't read that book, don't read my book either, because you don't know what I'm talking about, kind of thing. So yeah, thank you for sharing the link. So I cannot share the link on the image because the text is longer. So for you guys who can see the whole text, like it, pump it up a little bit. Okay, 3 minutes are over. You guys cheated on me. It's already 10:23, like 20 minutes over time. Okay. So thank you for sharing that post, that video. It means a lot to me, and of course it means a lot to us, and it hopefully means a lot. Thank you for the link. Link. And yeah, and by the way, if you're a professional, it saves you time. You know how much time I save myself by directing my clients to read that part? Because of blah, 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 in an online session, lacking else to do with it. I have 45 minutes to go through the problem. The first 20 minutes, we figure out what the problem is. And the last 15 minutes, 20 minutes, we have to kind of get our training plan together. And the last 10, 15 minutes, we kind of schedule for the next appointment, kind of thing, right? So it saves you a lot of time. Plus, you always have a reference point, because Linda doesn't have only the solutions, she also tells you where the solutions are coming from. And you have a lot of context, like almost 20 pages, correct me if I'm wrong, just references. And even if you're a fresh business starter and you don't know exactly set it up. It gives you even the question you should ask the client. Like, come on, give me a break. It's easier than making a coffee. Sort of. Anyway, good. So, dear friends, thank you for watching. Thank you for joining for the coffee. Sorry for my bathrobe. Not really. And yeah, if you have any questions, taboo questions that you always wanted to ask somebody and you didn't like to ask somebody, welcome to ask. If you have a behavior problem, get your book. Try to solve it with your book. Unless it's super urgent and you think like you're not gonna make it, then reach out for help. I'm happy to assist you with that. We're gonna go through the, hold on a second, I have to fix those things here because I'm all over the place. Okay. Where am I should put myself in here somewhere. Here you go. Now you got me too. Reach out for help. And yeah, I'm looking forward to help you. And that's pretty much it. If you have read the book and you already started reading the book like somebody else already did before, and you're struggling with it in the DoNoHarm group, post it. Says, I got the book, I did this, I got stuck there, how can we help? And we have tons of moderators who are into it. They know things. They are professionals, they're educated, they're experts, world experts. We're going to help you out, help you go to the next page and up a level, right? Things are easy. Anything else? 18 pages. Yeah, I kind of mixed that. 18 and 21. Sorry. Yeah, right. The treatment plan, everything is in there. I mean, you have to be kind of really ignorant to not see those things. I have ADD. I can excuse myself for not remembering the numbers. Okay, so I have to have breakfast. I'm hungry, and the dog needs to get out, and my coffee mug is empty. Thanks again for watching. See you soon. I'll try to be consistent with the Saturday thing, right? I usually inspired by emails or problems I have the weeks with clients, and then I make a post about it. If something is really out there that is eminent and that needs to be talked about, just send me a message. Roman, this is what's happening lately. I know you didn't see it, but link or give me some information to get myself up to speed, and then we can talk about it. I usually talk about my own personal experience and knowledge. I do refer to the DoNoHarm group as a solution to take things taken care of. Oh, blush. Thank you. I appreciate it. And I get inspired. And then once I get going, all I need is a coffee and my robe, and I'll be going. I'm literally have nothing underneath. It's just my robe and I. So, but I need to get working and I need to get going. So, see you soon.